Hey there, I'm Grace Rodriguez with Impact Hub Houston, and this is a quick tutorial on how to join and start engaging with the Code for Houston community on Discord. If you're not familiar with Code for Houston, dun, 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 Code for Houston is Houston's Code for America Brigade. It's an initiative hosted by Impact Hub Houston, connecting over 3,000 designers, developers, data scientists, journalists, scientists, community activists, organizers, policy experts, government representatives, and you, the community, in learning about some of the most pressing issues of our region and hopefully ideating and collaborating on solutions to help address them. The Code for Houston community believes that Houstonians can be the change that our communities need. So, to get started, you would go to any browser that you use. I like to use Chrome, and for this tutorial, I will use the incognito version of Chrome, which you get to by clicking Control, Shift, and N at the same time. And there you go. So you would go to bit.ly/Discord for Houston. That's bit.ly/Discord for Houston, and that will take you to the Discord invitation page for Code for Houston. And you'll see that Grace Rodriguez has invited you to join Code for Houston. You can enter your username. I recommend using one that you want people to be able to recognize you for. If it's something that you already use on social media, feel free to use that, or create a name that you want people to connect you with or to identify you with in the Code for Houston community. If you already have an account, click on Already Have an Account, which I do, and I will log in here. And if you see my email address, if you have any questions, feel free to use that email address and connect with me and send me your questions. All right, and let me make sure I remember my password. And then I log in. And if you don't have an account yet, then you can click on that little register link that was on that page. So the Code for Houston community will open up, and this isn't a student hub, so just close that out. And it asks you to complete a few more steps before you can start engaging with the community. So you would click on Complete, and before you can talk in the server, you'll need to read basically the code of conduct, and reading and agreeing to the server rules. So I'll read this out for anybody who is not able to see it, but Code for Houston is dedicated to providing a safe, respectful, and harassment-free experience for everyone. So by participating in any of our activities, events, and platforms, you agree to abide by our code of conduct. And you can also find this on GitHub. You go to github.com/codeforhoustonorg or codeforhouston.org, and you'll find them there. And before you can talk in the server, you'll need to read and agree to the community rules. First, create a safe and respectful environment for everyone. Disrespectful and or destructive behavior will not be tolerated. 2, refrain from ads, spam, or self-promotion unless you get permission from the Code for Houston team. Because we want this community to be a place for community that serves the community and is not about commercials. Number 3, no NSFW or not safe for work or obscene content. This includes text, images, or links featuring nudity, sex, violence, or other graphically disturbing content. We really want to make this a space where people feel welcome and won't encounter some of the horrible things that they see in other places on the internet. So please make sure that you think first before posting something. And 4, if you see something violating our code of conduct, please tell the Code for Houston team. That's Michelle, me, Dave Wilson, or anybody else that you'll see in the Code for Houston team area, which I'll show you in a moment. But we want this to be, like I said before, we want this to be a welcoming space for people of all ages and of all identities to be able to participate as authentically and feel as supported as possible. So keep in mind that there might be some children, some young students who are participating in Code for Houston. Young people really want to be the change that they wish to see in the world, so we want to make this as welcoming of a space for them as possible. And we also want to make sure that we come to the space with the spirit, in the spirit of collaboration and connection and support, because there are some people who are also not as tech savvy. And we want to make sure that we are welcoming and as educational and as supportive of them as well. Yeah. And then so once you have read those and you agree to them, you click on that little box and you hit submit, and voila, you are in the space, or you are not. Voila, you are in the introductions area. And so this is where, when people are first encouraged to go and introduce themselves. And as you can see, Travis introduced himself here. He's participating in the Climathon. He's been running the Hackster Hardware Houston meetup for about 8 years now, which is awesome. But feel free to connect with people here by dropping in your personal, like your LinkedIn link, or just telling people about yourself. Please avoid being salesy. This is really about connection and introductions. And if you like somebody's, if you want to give somebody a high five or a thumbs up and say you're awesome, you can find an emoji here by scrolling down or typing in what you're searching for. And then if you'd like to comment to this person and say, let's say, welcome, Travis. Then I can welcome him, and he would be able to see that as a response to his comment, to his introduction there. So once you submit that, you'd be able to see it as a threaded conversation, which you'll see which is indicated by this line here. So as you're having a conversation with people, feel free to comment to them in a thread or reply to them with that little arrow by clicking on that arrow. And then, again, you can see all of the different options here. You can also speak a message. So I could say, welcome, Travis. Thank you for joining us here as a verbal message by clicking on speak message, which is a really fun function out of Discord. After introducing yourself, you can go to the announcements area, where if we are hosting, or if we're in the Houston Hackathon session or the Climathon session, or this is an open project night, or just in general Code for Houston announcements, you can find them here. And then in the resources area, that's where you'd find all of the resources for any of the current activities, whether it's the Houston Hackathon or the Climathon or an open project night or any other programs that we're running through Code for Houston. You'd be able to find those resources here. And for instance, you can go back also and scroll through. So you can also go back and scroll through some of these resources. So for instance, there is a pitch deck template that's linked here. There's a link to the Houston open data sets. And so you can find a lot of really interesting data sets and resources and tools for you as a person who's developing solutions, whether it's during a hackathon or just in general. So please feel free to look for resources that can help you here in the Code for Houston community on Discord in the resources channel. And then if you have any questions, you can drop into here at the help desk and ask anybody in our community, whether mentors, volunteers, or the Code for Houston team, a question. Or you can also ask the Code for Houston team directly by clicking on their profile here. As I mentioned earlier, you'll find this area for the Code for Houston team, that's CFH. Code for Houston team, that includes the Impact Hub Houston team and our Code for Houston volunteers and leadership. And so you'd be able to click on one of those individuals directly and then type in a direct message to them. And then just hit return, and then that would send that to her. Okay, and if you just feel like having a coffee break, want to see who's around, want to invite somebody to have a chat, click on the Hacker Lounge, and that will open up this opportunity for you to have a verbal discussion with them. And then you'll see in this lower left area, let me make myself smaller so you can see how that works. But in this lower left area here, you'll see that you are live. You have the ability to unmute yourself. You can decide whether you want to use push to talk, which means that you would have to push a button, enable to talk, kind of like a CB radio or a walkie-talkie. And then you'd be able to use your video, so it's kind of like a Zoom environment. If you want to see each other and chat with each other, you can click on video, and you can also share your screen. So if you wanted to share your screen, you would be able to select which screen you actually want to share, or a window that you'd like to share, or a specific Chrome tab. So if you are a Chrome user, this is really helpful, because then you can make sure you're only sharing that one tab versus your entire window and all of the content that's on there, right? So this is where you're seeing that. And so if you want to stop hanging out there, or if you want to stop screen sharing, you just click on exit, and then you're out. And then there's this stage option. So whenever we have an event or a program like the Houston Hackathon or the Climathon, we will do announcements and broadcast to everybody in Discord by going on stage. And when you go to the stage, you'll see this pop up. It says your mic will be muted unless you are invited to speak. You can leave and rejoin at any time. And so if you decide, I want to pop out for a little bit and then come back in, you can do that. And you can also request to join the conversation or request an opportunity to speak. And so once you click on that, you'll see yourself in the audience. Because we don't have a presenter right now, you're not seeing the presenter area. But when you see yourself in the audience, you will also see this little hand at the bottom. Let me get myself out of the way. Okay, so you'll be able to see this ability to request to speak, right? And when you click on that, then the speaker, the presenter, the host will be able to see that you've raised your hand and you'd like to speak, and then they can call on you and bring you up to the stage to speak. If you want to cancel the request, click on the hand again, and then you're like, oh, got my question answered, thanks. And you can, as I was saying earlier, you can exit quietly and re-enter if you want by just clicking on the stage again. All right, so we've got through that. So if you are participating in the Houston Hackathon, the Climathon, or any hack nights, we do create teams for each of those. I'll show you first that of the past hackathon, the Houston Hackathon 2021, we put all of the teams from that hackathon together under that one category so that they can continue hacking. We don't sunset any of the teams. So for instance, the well-check team is continuing to work on their solution. They'll be meeting with the mayor soon, actually, but they can continue working on their solution. And if they want to do the voice, video, screen share option, they can participate, or they can invite each other to join the Houston Hackathon 2021 lounge. And then again, if you want to disconnect, you can click on that phone X icon, and that will disconnect you from the lounge. So that's what it looks like for past hackathons. Feel free to pop into there and look at different ideas and solutions that were created during that hackathon. And if you are participating in an active hackathon, like we're going through the Climathon right now, you'll see that there is a team created for each challenge. So let's say you were interested in working on the 5th Ward Environmental Justice Challenge. You would click on the text here, introduce yourself, and say like, hi, Grace, I'm interested in working on this challenge with someone. And then submit that, and then people would see that that you're interested in working on this challenge, and you can start to form teams or build teams here. You can also click on the lounge. So let's say you have formed a team and you want to have that conversation with each other. You can go into the lounge just with your team, collaborate there, and share your screen and do the video conference call type of thing. And then if you want to exit, again, click on that to disconnect. And that's pretty much it for the Code for Houston community on Discord. New categories and channels can be developed as they're needed. So if you'd like to see a channel or a space created, please feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, so please feel free to share this with people in your community that you'd like to connect with. And that's it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the help desk area or contact me, Michelle, or Dave directly in the Code for Houston team, and we'll be happy to help you as much as we can. Thanks.